The Boondokl Bedtime Stories by Dr. Robert Lefevre. Number 1. Henry, just look at your room. It's a dreadful mess. Sorry, Mummy. The boondokl have been out. If you follow that trail of picker sticks across the floor, you'll see that it leads to a pile of toys just behind the curtain. I think Jemima's in there, but I haven't looked because I don't want to disturb her. Henry Pootle, said Dr. Pootle, I think you're making this up. I've never seen Jemima or any of the boondokl. Well, that's because you're a grown-up. Henry knew that he couldn't win. If his mother wanted him to tidy his room, that was how it had to be, particularly before his father, the Venerable Charles Pootle, came to read him a good-night story after he came home from the church, and after he'd had supper, and before he went up to the attic to look through his telescope. This room has got to be tidy before your father gets home, said Henry's mother, Dr. Nicola Pootle, firmly. He's had a hard day with the bishop, who's been telling him all about health and safety requirements in the church hall, and he won't want to have to lecture you and Bea about the state of your rooms. Sorry, Mummy, said Henry, although he wasn't quite sure why he was saying sorry, because it was the boondokl who'd made the mess, not him. His mother left the room, and Henry wandered through to his sister Beatrice's room, to see if she was there, and to see if her room was in the same state as his. It was. There were picker sticks all over the place, even on the top bunk. In fact, especially on the top bunk. Nobody slept there normally. It was a spare bed for any friend from school who might have a sleepover with Beatrice. But it didn't look like a spare bed now. There were toys all over it. There was a teddy bear and a globe and a pack of Happy Families playing cards and a game of Monopoly, with the houses and hotels spread out in runs that led all one way or another to underneath the pillow. It looks to me, said Henry to his sister, sounding very grand, as boys tend to do when talking to their younger sisters, as if one of your boondokl has been here. Well, that's what I told Mummy, said Bea, but she didn't believe me. She didn't believe me either, said Henry. Which of yours was it? Well, Phoebe, I think, the gentle boondokl. Don't you know? Well, I think she's under the pillow, but I don't want to disturb her. She might be nesting. Well, I suppose, said Henry very grandly, that Jemima and Phoebe and the other boondokl must nest somewhere else for a bit. And he went back to his room to tidy up the trails of toys and leave his sister to do the same. Well, Henry, said his father, the Venerable Charles Pootle, at supper, what have you been doing all day? Nothing. Don't be silly, said his mother. You've been doing lots of things. Well, not really, said Henry, trying to see how many baked beans he could balance on his fork. Don't play with your food and answer your father properly. I played with my toys. Yes, and then you tried to blame the mess on your imaginary boondokl, said his mother with a smile. They're not imaginary, they're real, said Henry, almost cross with his mother. Well, I've never seen one, said his mother. Well, I have, said Beatrice, and anyway, they don't come out when grown-ups are around. Actually, they don't come out much at all when anyone's around. You two and your boondokl, said the Venerable Charles Pootle. I don't know where you get all your imagination. Beatrice raised her eyes to the ceiling, and Henry took his chance and took some beans off her plate. Henry, said his father sternly, I saw that. Please learn your manners. I hope you don't behave like that when the bishop comes to tea tomorrow. Boondokl are small, 4 inches high, ginger and furry. They look rather like hamsters, but their arms have hands rather than paws, and this means that they can carry things and throw things and climb up things. Their back legs have wheels like roller skates rather than feet, so they can move around quite fast when they want to. They are strong, and also they are clever. They know how to use a dressing gown cord to hook over the end of the bed so that they can pull down on one end and lift up something that is tied to the other end. They don't require food other than occasional nuts and berries and grains that provide internal oil for their wheels, or water, or looking after in any way other than to have their batteries charged. They're computerized. They're sufficiently intelligent to be independent, and they can plug themselves into a socket when they feel that their batteries are running low. You don't see Boondokl very easily, but you can certainly see where they've been. They don't mean any harm, but they love getting out all the toys and making runs with them. But then they don't put things back where they belong. They get on very well with each other and also with children. They are very respectful of the adult areas of the house, in an accidental sort of way, because adults mostly don't have the sort of toys that a boondok enjoys playing with. This means that Boondokl are always getting children into trouble when they mess up their rooms. But the children don't really mind. To be continued.